Hello and welcome to the Golden Wheel Tavern. It's so good to see you all again today. Really, that's it. I don't know what else to say. It's so good to see you all again today. The old faces, the new faces, something, 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 to throw together some sort of combination of words here that sounds good.
Good job.
I tried my best. Speaking of good, let's kick it over to the bartender.
It's 10:35 in the morning. If you think I'm going to drink alcohol, if you think that you're going to be drinking alcohol, you're wrong.
That's fair.
If anything, the bartender's brew is the bartender should go downstairs and make some coffee because the bartender is tired.
We can put a cut in the podcast here and I can go make you some coffee.
No. They get to deal with my raspy voice today.
I'm sure the listeners love it.
I'm sure they will too, because it's me.
I mean, yeah, it is you.
And the listeners love me.
At least I do.
And so do the listeners.
Well, then we'll move on to, change up the order a little bit. We don't actually have that much to talk about this morning, as we don't really have a Tales from the Tavern's Tables either. If you listened to the last episode, you know we've missed a couple different sessions and
Don't worry, listeners. By the time we record another time from now, so 2 recording sessions from now, we should have a Tales from the Tavern's Tables.
So next episode probably doesn't have one either.
But 2 episodes from now, well, let me just tell you, my Monday group is supposed to be meeting on the 23rd.
When was the last time your Monday group met?
Not on a Monday.
I just mean, in general.
I don't know. It's just, unfortunately with that group, it's not, we meet regularly at this time every couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. It's somebody puts in the group chat, hey, how does this day work for everyone?
Yeah. Okay. So your Monday group will meet at some point.
It's supposed to meet on the 23rd because I have that day off because I'm pretty.
You are.
And it gives them all something to look forward to after work.
Well, hopefully you can provide them with that thing they look forward to, which is seeing you and being
playing
like, wow.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Wow, the bartender's so pretty. Wow.
This isn't one of my groups this isn't one of my friend groups that's in love with me, babe. It's okay.
What do you mean? I thought all your friend groups were in love with you.
This one's full of straight women.
Interesting. Why do you hang out with them then?
Because they want to play D&D.
That's fair.
If you guys ever listen to the show, just know that I do love you and hang out with you for more than just because you want to play D&D. I hang out with you because we formed trauma bonds by working at my old job together.
Nothing like a workplace to find new friends.
Nothing like a workplace to forge the bonds of friendships based off of how shitty you are treated.
Yeah.
So I'm never going to make any friends at my new job.
No friends at your new job because you're treated well.
Also because I kind of just, I'm in my little alterations room. People walk in and out, but there's no one working directly with me. So how am I going to make a friend?
You have the classic tiny room problem. I didn't have that problem at Kmart. I had a tiny room. People would constantly knock on the door and just be like, hey, how's it going? How you doing?
I have people constantly coming in and out, especially dogs. But I do have people coming in and out, and they'll say things to me because the salespeople use my tables to unbox all the new merchandise and stuff.
Okay.
So it's not like I don't ever have anyone to talk to. It's just, I'm not working directly with anyone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, on to everyone's favorite part of the podcast.
You forgot to chill.
Well, I was about to say, if you want to support the podcast.
Oh, sorry. I looked at the outline and we went from bartenders brew to taverns tables.
That's because they're both empty, so I decided to knock them both out. The Tales from the Tavern's Tables.
So then I thought you were going to go to the talking topics. And I was like, wait, babe. No, babe. Wait, you forgot to shill.
No, I was about to shill.
Okay, have fun chilling.
Okay. If you want to support the podcast, of course, the best way to do so is word of mouth. Honestly, don't really worry about the financials. The Patreon cup will be there. You can always go back and get the Patreon cut just fine. Right now, what'll help us the most is word of mouth, spreading on social media, that kind of stuff, helping get the word out there. That's what'll help us the most. So if you really want to support us, go to Twitter, go to TikTok, go to Tumblr, go to Mastodon, go to Blue Sky, look up the Tavernkeep or the Tavernkeep's Guide. I think like one of them, the Tavernkeep, I'm not entirely sure, but the Tavernkeep's Guide, search on those, find us, follow us, like our posts, share our posts, reblog our posts, interact with them in some way and get them out there, because it is that growth that is vital to us right now. Monetary support is not important. Growth is what's important, and really it is by the contributions of you people that we will grow and become what we truly can become, because I believe we have the potential to spread word out there and have a good time. We're not looking for fame and fortune, we're just looking to get out there. So
we're not opposed to fame and fortune.
We're not opposed to fame and fortune, but like we're kind of opposed to it. We're opposed to the negative moral aspects of fame and fortune, but those can be mitigated by being generous with our wealth.
We're not opposed to fame and fortune if it means I can have more dice.
That too. Also dice. So really the best thing you can do for us though is get the word out there. Please, thank you. We appreciate every one of you. If you do want to support us financially, you can go to the Patreon, patreon.com/thetavernkeepsguide. Sign up for the $5 or more tier to get the Patreon cut containing the cold intro, cold outro, all the side talk and diatribes that I cut out, all the weird side conversations, basically a little bit of extra of our personality rather than necessary topic. Sometimes it's a little bit topic, sometimes it's weird edits that I do just for fun, but you'll get the Patreon cut. And then there are some higher tiers, like you can determine an episode topic. I believe there's, of course, just like credit and that kind of stuff. Tier, that kind of stuff. So once again, if you really want to support us, social media, word of mouth, tell someone else about the podcast. If all of our listeners go out and tell somebody else about the podcast, that would be the best way to help us grow, because that would get about 3 more listeners.
And then if those 3 more listeners spread the word to other listeners,
a lot of podcasts are pyramid schemes,
then they will reach the double black diamond tier if they spread our podcast to enough people.
It's an MLM.
We have a product.
So
it can't be a pyramid scheme.
Can't be a pyramid scheme. I guess all popularity is a pyramid scheme in a way. But then again, that's just exponential growth. That's just what that is. Well, invest in the Golden Wheel coin. It'll go to Faerun rather than to the moon. Invest in Tavernkeep coin. It'll go to Faerun.
Invest in Barkeep coin. The money will all go to me and you won't see any of it back. But you're giving it to me because I'm pretty.
It's a sure thing.
It's a sure thing. It's not a scam. I'm
Exactly.
not telling you you'll get any money back. I'm not promising you anything. I'm just telling you that I will keep the money if you give me money for Barkeep coin. And that I guess you could spend Barkeep coin at the bar for drinks.
But only bars that accept Barkeep coin, which is none of them.
I'll let you put it in my tip jar.
Invest in Tavernkeep coin, and you won't get any coin, and it's a sure investment that the money will just go to us. So
it's a sure investment.
It's a sure thing.
The money will go to dice.
We can guarantee 100% loss. 100%.
Listen, if you donate money to the Tavernkeep Guide charity, lost dice can find new homes.
In your crystal skull.
It's not a crystal skull. It's a golden skull. The golden skull is filled. It's in the cauldron with the eyeball on it now.
Sorry. Dice without families can find a new home in a cauldron with an eyeball on it.
I think you should leave it in for the other listeners so that they can get a little taste.
It'll get edited for the other listeners.
Just give them
Not necessarily cut out, but like trimmed down.
I'm just telling you, give them a little taste of what they're missing.
Yeah, I'll trim the hedges a little bit on it.
Don't trim anything. Just be like, hey, this small unedited portion was sponsored by our Patreon. To get more content like this, join our Patreon.
This episode brought to you by the patrons. Now, on to the Tavern's talking topic for today. We have to talk about the elephant in the room, or the mammoth in the room, or whatever large D&D pachyderm, which I think is actually...
The owlbear in the room.
As far as I'm aware, pachyderm is an outdated term for elements. Anyways, the owlbear in the room, the gif in the room, the other large creature in the room, the stench cow in the room. 2024 Dungeons and Dragons, or D&D 5.5. Yeah, the 2024 version of Dungeons and Dragons.
5th edition, the 2nd edition.
5.5e, 6e, OneD&D. They haven't given us a good name to call it by because they want it to be just Dungeons and Dragons.
I'm pushing really hard for 5th edition, the 2nd edition.
So, for those of you unaware, they have started pushing out the new, essentially an update, they're claiming it to be, to Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. Now, before we get into the weeds on what that is, the 2024 edition, we're going to rewind a bit to, I want to say early 2023, maybe 2022. I can't exactly remember when. I didn't write down the date for it. But when we received the announcement for what was called OneD&D, this was going to be the new thing. This was, while 5e was still rising in popularity, D&D was 5th edition, extremely popular still. It still is, but it's not like, you know, this was when D&D was brand new. D&D 5e was established at this point. And they said, we're going to do a new thing called OneD&D. And I decided to go through and write up some of the comments that they made about this thing. For example, we no longer think of D&D as an edition, it's just D&D. Which, like, fine, that's a fine way to think about it. They want to continue to cultivate, respect, and love what it is. Once again, that sounds great. That sounds wonderful. That sounds like they're creating this new thing that might be attached to the old thing, but the old thing will still be just as supported as always. In fact, the next quote I found about OneD&D is, this isn't about changing things or taking things away from you, it's about building on it. Okay, so it is very much like a 5.5 or an upgrade in a way, right? It doesn't change things about 5e. 5e is still as supported as always. This is just adding more stuff onto it. Closer to like Tasha's and Xanathar's.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting from this. The game, you know, but reflects where the game is currently. So probably take some really common homebrew rules, put them in as actual rules, optional rules, like in Tasha's. Tasha's was very good about that. Probably just like a compilation of that type of stuff in sort of a new package, make a cleaner, more streamlined PHB. That all sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
All adventures and supplements published in the last 10 years will still be playable. Digital/physical bundles, as in if you buy a physical book, you get the digital copy as well. It's revised. We're taking the 5e DMG and just trying to get closer to a 10 out of 10. And this is completely 5e. Those were all things said about OneD&D, their new project. All of that sounds wonderful, right?
Yes.
No notes, really. Like, yeah, they're making something new. They're going to have to change some things, but it's fine, right? That all sounds good.
Yeah. Sorry, listeners. I was nodding my head because I often forget when I am talking in an audio-only format that I cannot be seen.
Yep. So, you want to give us some of the quotes they said about the 2024 edition? Because, of course, I also went through, and once they changed to calling it the 2024 version, I went through, watched some of their promotional material, and took down some notes on things they said.
Do I have to do it in the order the quotes are listed?
Nope.
Okay. Let me look over them so I can choose whatever one makes me the angriest in this moment right here and now.
Okay.
One moment, listeners. Digital/physical bundles. That's what's making me the angriest right now. Not because digital content should not be available and physical content should not be available, but it reminded me of their Golden Dragon.
So, we will definitely get to that. I think I forgot to put that into that section. You actually read digital physical bundles from the OneD&D section.
Oh.
Because that was a promise that if you buy the physical book, you get the digital books as well.
That's the only Okay. His outline is weird. The indents aren't very big.
Yeah, Discord kind of makes indents pretty small.
Yeah, so I thought this was just all one big thing of quotes.
Nope.
Okay. Sorry, listeners.
But we can briefly talk about that. So, Wizards of the Coast acquired D&D Beyond and decided to put stuff on D&D Beyond, including the 2024 rulebook. Now, do you want to explain the Golden Dragon mini fiasco?
Yeah, you call it a fiasco. I don't think I think I'm like one of the only people who's upset about it. Would love to be proven wrong about this. They were selling a bundle for the new 2024 manual and the new monster manual. And if it was marketed saying that if you got this, you got a free Golden Dragon mini. Cool, right? Free minis. Who doesn't love them? But if you looked further into it, it was a free Golden Dragon mini for a virtual tabletop. For their virtual tabletop.
Yep, the Sage Project as it's now known. It's actually Project Sigil, not the Sage Project.
I didn't know what it was called.
Don't worry, I apparently didn't know what it was called either. I have to jump into editing to try to fix this.
You got a free Golden Dragon mini for the Sage Project. Why would it need to be called free if that does not mean that they will be trying to sell you more pictures to use in their tabletop? Which it makes me a little upset. I get a little upset thinking about a lot of this. I'm kind of detaching from the conversation just slightly so that this episode doesn't end up causing me to miss my doctor's appointment. Because I will go off on some rants, as many of my former coworkers and the Tavernkeep here know.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was an issue that the community, a lot of them did raise problems with. That they said, hey, if you buy this, you get this free mini for our virtual tabletop. I'm trying to see if it's actually called Sage. I'm pretty sure it was Sage, but no, I'm not finding... whatever. At one point I saw it referred to as Sage. Nope, it's Project Sigil. Anyways, so if they're saying that you can get this mini for free for their bundle, for their tabletop by buying this bundle, that implies they're going to try to sell you minis for their VTT, which is virtual tabletop, at a cost piecemeal, meaning microtransactions for your virtual tabletop, which I think most people can understand why some people wouldn't like that. Even if you're fine with microtransactions and whatnot, I'm sure you can understand that some people aren't and don't want them in their virtual tabletop provided by the company that makes the system that you're using the virtual tabletop for. It creates a monetary barrier to entry to using the virtual tabletop, which is bad.
It's okay. Other virtual tabletops still exist and are better.
Yep. Now, the one that I love so much to compare and contrast is essentially 4 of them in a row, which is, if someone asks what's new, the answer is yes. There's such a stark difference between the 2014 and the 2024 version. It is a complete reimagining of the book, and it is a total redesign. I love comparing those 4 to this isn't about changing things or taking things away from you, it's building on it. The game you know, but reflect where the game is currently. It is simply revised, and this is completely 5e. If it's completely 5e, if it is simply building on something and not changing things or taking things away from you, why is everything different? Why is there such a stark difference? Why is it a complete reimagining? Why is it a complete redesign? It isn't. They tried to sneak one past us. They're trying to say this is the new shiny thing that you need to get, but also it's the old not shiny thing that you love.
It's just 5th edition, but polished up a bit more, and we changed all the rules, but don't worry. It's the same. Yeah,
they're trying to have their cake and eat it too, and I think those very much show that. And I think that's part of the biggest issue people have had with the 2024 version is there's such mixed messaging on what it is. Is it the new shiny thing? Is it a new edition? And the thing is Wizards of the Coast doesn't want to say it's a new edition, because if it's a new edition, people might be, no, I actually like playing 5e. I'm going to stick with 5e. But they want a new edition without saying it's a new edition. And that's just going to create confusion and general frustration with Wizards of the Coast. They are causing ill will to be generated by giving mixed messaging rather than having some people stick with 5e with clear messaging.
Yeah, Yeah.
And maybe my favorite comparison of the switch they've made talking about this is the phrase, "this is completely 5e," being said when they're talking about OneD&D. And then this quote from an interview about the 2024 Player's Handbook. "The moment you use or activate the 2024 Player's Handbook in your campaign, all the things in it do replace the 2014 handbook. You are not supposed to mix and match. If I cannot mix and match the rules from the 2014 and the 2024 editions, they are not the same edition. They are two separate things."
No, but babe, it's the same edition.
It is
because they
not.
didn't give it a new number.
A 2014 character is supposed to use the 2024 rules if they are in the same campaign as a 2024 character. They are not the same thing. If I cannot use the 2014 rules alongside the 2024 rules, they are different things. But Wizards of the Coast is doing their best to act as though it's just the newest version of the same thing and you should switch to it. Or they will force you to switch to it.
Yeah, because they're going to publish more modules and shit, and they're going to be like, well, this is compatible with 2014 because 2024 is compatible with 2014. But just remember, if you use the new module, then you have to use all the new 2024 rules and none of the 2014 rules. But you can put your 2014 character in the 2024 stuff. But it's going to have to abide by all the 2024 rules. In the same way if you put a set of 3.5 character into 4.
And of course, Wizards of the Coast isn't known for being the kindest to their fan base. Despite their outward appearance, they are a corporation.
What?
Because if you remember the OGL scandal, if you've been a longtime listener, you know when they first talked about the OGL, we were actually fine with the changes they were going to make to the OGL.
Yeah.
Because they were basic CYA measures. It was corporate speak. People were saying they're going to steal all your stuff. We're like, no, that's just to protect their asses if they produce something that's similar to what you made. Like, we discussed it. We, discussed the OGL old style. Then the community pushed back and Wizards of the Coast decided, oh, okay, we're not going to change the OGL. There was pushback. The community, quotation marks, won. Until everybody stopped looking the direction of the OGL, and Wizards of the Coast has the new 2024 with the new OGL, and very much has tried to sneak and force changes in.
Yeah.
And they tried it again. This time trying to force everyone on D&D Beyond to switch to the new thing. This move by Wizards of the Coast has completely soured my feeling about Wizards of the Coast. I was iffy on the 2024 book, then they started giving really unclear messaging about it, and I grew even more iffy, and then they did this. Now, what was this?
They said, hey gamers, we know you love Dungeons and Dragons, and we love bringing you the same classic Dungeons and Dragons every night. Except this is no longer the same classic Dungeons and Dragons, and we're updating all of the spells and a bunch of stuff, and you can't stop us. And we're sorry if you're playing your 2014 character in D&D Beyond, but we're changing the spells to the new edition and all this other stuff to the new edition, and no, you can't put it back. And if you want your old spells, you're gonna have to put them in homebrew. But just remember that it is in our terms of service that you can't put any official content in your homebrew. Love you.
Yep, they said we are forcibly changing spells and magic items to the 2024 version. You cannot change that. I believe there were also there were going to be some rules, just general character rules that they were changing as well. They're like, we're changing this. You cannot select to use the 2014 version. You have to use the new version against your will. And if you want the old version, like the bartender said, you will have to enter it as homebrew. But our terms of service says that if we see you entering official stuff as homebrew, you will be kicked from our service. They were doing their damnedest to force the hand of people to play the 2024 version. That is what they were doing. And that is what soured me instantly. The moment they did that, I'm like, okay, now I went from iffy to I do not want to interact with the 2024 version at all. The community pushed back against them as hard as they could, and Wizards of the Coast gracefully, oh so wonderfully, rolled back the decision and decided to let people decide which version they want to use. For now.
For now.
For now. Let's be honest here.
It's really gonna suck for the people who paid money to get like the actual books on D&D Beyond so they could access that content, because we all know that that Wizards of the Coast is going to, when people aren't paying attention, they're gonna force over this change. And once they do, people with the old books, it's, hey, I spent $300 on this website for a bunch of content I can no longer use because I don't want to go to the new system, but you're only letting me access spells from the new system.
Yeah, we can't sit here and pretend that Wizards of the Coast, we can 100% trust them to not force it again, because I fully believe they're going to try to force it again. So it is on that note that I want to say I'm glad for all our listeners. I'm glad that I have the physical books for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. Just know that this is our official announcement that we will not be covering 2024 Dungeons & Dragons content.
We may cover this is the difference between the 2014 and the 2024 class thing, but that might just because it gets me really heated.
Yeah, we may cover that sort of stuff just for fun, but we will not be going too in-depth about it because we will not be using that system in our home games at all. I am done buying Dungeons & Dragons products for the foreseeable future.
Samesies.
Which breaks my heart. I love Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. I love Dungeons & Dragons in general, but these moves by Wizards of the Coast, not good, and I will not abide by them.
It breaks my heart a lot less because I have never, ever, 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 ever bought myself a D&D book. Mm-hmm. That's what the internet's for. That's what people who upload pirated copies of the books are for. Heroes Among Us, for real.
It also breaks my heart because that means I won't ever get any new 5th edition books. There won't ever be any new stuff for 5th edition. It's all going to be 2024 edition.
That part does break my heart.
Yeah.
Maybe this is the push that it will take for the Tavernkeep to start considering homebrew.
So there's levels of homebrew.
Mm-hmm.
There's maybe at some point I'll allow partnered content or stuff from reputable people. Like Kobold Press or Humblewood.
And then after we run out of content from there, the Tavernkeep will be forced to let us homebrew.
Yeah, we're gonna keep playing 5th edition, but I have the books, so fuck you, Wizards of the Coast. I'm not gonna let the Pinkertons...
I was about to say, they might send the Pinkertons on you, babe.
The Pinkertons can suck my left nut before they get my goddamn D&D book. But, overall in conclusion... We won't be talking about the 2024 stuff. We still love 5th edition. Play D&D. It's fun. Just know that we don't like the 2024 edition. And this was our viewpoint on the 2024 because it's the current topic everyone's talking about.
Okay.
Quiz.
How hard do you want to start out?
As hard as you want, darling. Give me a medium difficulty.
Okay.
As hard as you want, darling. That's not an answer to my question.
The first harpy was a result of a cursed transformation of what humanoid creature? They're specifically asking what race.
Elf.
Correct.
Nailed it. Harpies are very elf-coded.
Okay.
They're inherently musical and luring.
Speaking of editions, what year was 4th edition released?
2007.
No.
Damn.
You're very close though. It's 2008.
Damn.
We're going to give you... Would you like a really easy one now or a really hard one?
Let's go really hard. One I just won't get.
Okay. EX1 Dungeon Land and EX2 The Land Beyond the Magic Mirror, both written by D&D co-creator Gary Gygax, were inspired by the fantasy works of which author?
Read me those module names again.
EX1 Dungeon Land, EX2 The Land Beyond the Magic Mirror.
Oh, C.S. Lewis.
No, I think these are two different people.
Ah, damn.
Lewis Carroll.
Lewis Carroll? Do I have the author of the book I'm thinking of incorrect? Wait, hold up. I need to check something. Because I may be thinking the correct author, but I have their name wrong.
C.S. Lewis would have been influenced by Lewis Carroll, according to this site.
Give me a second.
One of them's the Narnia guy.
I was thinking Lewis Carroll. Okay, because I was thinking Alice's Adventures in Wonderland.
Yeah.
So I was thinking Lewis Carroll. I mixed him up with C.S. Lewis.
Yeah. You mixed the Alice in Wonderland and the Narnia guys up.
Yep. Because Dungeonland is clearly Wonderland, and then Adventures Through the Mirror is Alice Through the Looking Glass. So I'm giving myself half a point on that one.
I'm not.
Too bad.
Last one before we lock questions behind a paywall. We're going to give you a super easy one. What is the alignment of those who act with arbitrary violence spurred by their greed, hatred, and bloodlust?
Chaotic neutral.
No.
Yeah, it's chaotic evil.
Yeah.
But what is chaotic neutral but chaotic evil, but they don't want to say they're evil?
It's chaotic evil, but I'm palatable to be around, guys. I promise.
Yeah, it's chaotic evil, but I'm gonna pretend I'm not.
That's all I can give away for free.
Well, that is 2.5 points.
It's 2 points.
It's 2.5.
It's 1 point.
You can round down, but I'm gonna take 2.5.
It's 1 point.
Why is it 1 point?
I'm rounding down because you keep adding half a point.
Okay. Thank you so much for listening, every single one of you. We appreciate it so very much. Honestly, we do. Like I said, if you want to support us, the best way to do so is social media, spreading the word, helping us grow. That'll do wonders for us more than the Patreon. If you want to support us on Patreon, you can do so by going to patreon.com/thetavernkeepsguide and supporting us there. Feel free to join the Discord and follow us on all the social medias: TikTok, Tumblr, Mastodon, Blue Sky, Tumblr. We do not have an Instagram or a Threads.
Nope.
So follow us on all those, share it, get us to grow. That's the best way you can help us. Have a wonderful day, and as always, make sure to tip the barmaids.